By drinking ayahuasca, the spirit of the plant infuses them, allowing their souls to separate from their bodies and enter the spirit world. By communing with the spirits of the forest, they may gain knowledge, power, and the ability to heal.
Kantan paling
Kantan.
juga kisan tak mati.
Kantan paling mati kisan. Bo ayo kanta kanta kisan tak tagutan nok uga tatambo sortan. Unta katinggalan o gamas cerita uga kena kisaka. Aka.
Api tiro.
Gampa o kontak.
Mau cara wat.
Wat tak enak. Anda kan ke akan kan. Anda kan ke yon.
Api ti.
Nah, itu dia.
Ayo.
Ayo tanah. India kisan tak kamar. India tak kita tunggu saya. Dia marang kisan tak kamar gari. Jotte kanji cak. Jadi tapas pirin tangcin nih.
After a 3-hour chase, a small troop of woolly monkeys is tiring. Dr. Carol Mitchell, a zoologist from Southern California, has been studying monkeys in Manu's rainforest for the last 12 years. Carol's studies revealed that even though there are native people living within the park, their bow and arrow technology has had little effect on its wildlife. People and animals in Manu live in ecological balance. From the moment Carol stepped into Manu's rainforest and saw her first monkey troop, she knew that this was the place she belonged.
I actually had always wanted to study monkeys, and I was always intrigued by tropical forest. And in tropical forest, you find the greatest diversity of animal species.
Carol works with a Peruvian assistant, Abram Huaman.
There's something moving up there.
The tamandua, or collared anteater, spends most of its life up in the rainforest canopy. Although uncommonly seen, anteaters and even rarer animals often appear unexpectedly along Manu's jungle trails. While there are 13 monkey species in Manu, Carol spent more than 2 years following a single troop of 70 squirrel monkeys.
The Machigenga call the squirrel monkey sigiri, which is quite good. Many Machigenga words sound like the animal that they describe, and sigiri is very good for squirrel monkeys because they're very chattery.
And the squirrel monkeys? Sounds like they're dropping something. There they are in a palm nut tree. It says Shelia palm. Yeah, they're with capuchins.
The squirrel monkeys join up in the forest and forage together with capuchin monkeys quite often. Capuchins are the only animal which can open up the initial part of the palm cluster. And the squirrel monkeys hang around underneath and pick up nuts which are half eaten by the capuchins.
Palm nuts are an important resource full of oil and calories. By scavenging behind the more powerful capuchins, squirrel monkeys gain access to a richer variety of foods.
It was very easy to feel as though I was a member of a mixed species troop. The squirrel monkeys go so often in company with the two capuchin species that I think having one other strange-looking primate was not too strange for them. They were very aware of the fact that I could not climb trees.
To explore the extent of their territories, Carol decided she needed to trap and radio collar certain squirrel monkeys. The perfect lure, it turned out, was the banana.
The banana is a huge, very soft piece of sweet fruit and very unlike anything they get in the forest. And so a banana is it's like a gigantic chocolate bar to them.
Brown capuchins are the classic organ grinder monkeys that people have seen all over the world. The cleverest of South America's primates, it didn't take long before they began to pit their brain power against that of Carol's.
And in fact, during one point in the process, every day I was attempting to figure out another trap mechanism that the capuchin monkeys could not subvert. And I thought to myself, I'm doing my PhD, and these monkeys, I'm having to spend all of my brain energy to overcome these monkeys.
The capuchins gorged themselves, excluding the smaller monkeys from eating, until Carol came up with the concept of super baiting.
We'd put 5 or 6 whole stems of bananas out and let the capuchins eat until they were so full they couldn't move. And then the squirrel monkeys would eventually get to the bananas.
Once the squirrel monkeys were trapped and collared, Carol could track the troop's movements over its immense 600-acre home range. Following the 70-member troop from sunup to sundown, Carol gained important insights into how squirrel monkeys fit into the intricate ecology of the rainforest.
Squirrel monkeys are very crucial in the web of life. They are one of the prime consumers of insects in the rainforest, and also they are one of the main food sources for a number of raptor species. The reason that they're such a delicacy for raptors is their size. They only weigh a kilo, which is about 2 pounds. And the fact that they go in big, huge groups, and the big groups are very conspicuous.
The squirrel monkeys live in large troops because there is safety in numbers. Also, with more pairs of eyes on the lookout, the chances are better of spotting an eagle or other predator. Carol's work has contributed to a greater understanding of Manu's rainforest. For she believes that unless we understand something, we can't care for it. And if we don't care, then this unique world won't be preserved for the future. In addition to hunting and gardening, the Machigenga also gather the fruits of the forest as they come into season. When the first rains begin, aguaje palm nuts ripen, hanging in huge clusters in the upper canopy. The nuts are favorites of the birds, monkeys, and especially the Machigenga. Not far away, a troop of white-fronted capuchins also forage amid a treasure trove of palm nuts. There is a strict hierarchy within the troop, and it is usually the dominant male that rips open the palm cluster and begins feeding. The lower-ranking monkeys must either wait their turn or else scavenge on the ground. As with meat from the hunt, the nuts will be taken home and shared with other members of the extended family. Like palm nuts, medicinal plants are also a resource of the rainforest. Yet looking for them is like looking for a book in a vast library without a card catalog. It is the native Indians who are the rainforest's greatest librarians. According to the Machigenga, the leaves of this tree contain an effective cure for snakebite.
I'm taking a botanical specimen of the plant to find out what species it is. And I'm also going to take a specimen of the leaf itself and have it analyzed pharmacologically to see what possible medicinal qualities it has. When I first arrived here, people were more interested in getting medicines from me, and they just couldn't believe that someone was actually interested in their medicines. I think they appreciate that, the fact that someone from the outside is willing to try their medicine. Not only try it, but tell them, you know, this stuff works, and don't, you know, you shouldn't be forgetting it. I think it's important to achieve a balance between teaching them how to use Western medicine for those illnesses that their medical system simply doesn't work for, but at the same time trying to teach them that their medical system does have value for many, many illnesses. In fact, most of the common illnesses that people get are easily treatable by their traditional medical system. There's a whole chemical and evolutionary universe right here, just above our heads in all these trees, and we know almost nothing about it. And it's my job to try and unlock these secrets. And no one knows the answers better than people like the Machigenga.
In another part of Manu, Dr. Charles Munn, research zoologist with the Wildlife Conservation Society, feels that fate brought him here to try and save a group of endangered birds.
When I started bird watching when I was 10 years old, I never thought I would end up working in the Amazon or in Latin America, per se. I had no idea what I would do. I knew I was crazy about birds and wildlife, but I didn't know that it was going to end up like this. Anyone who works on birds is spoiled after they've been to Manu. It just blows you away if you're a bird watcher and you're accustomed to normal sorts of diversities of birds. To come to the western Amazon right at the foot of the Andes, you can't believe what the species diversity is of birds here. I find all birds interesting, but macaws and parrots have a special attraction for everyone, all people.
There are a bunch of macaws up there on the top of that tree.
Macaws are the largest of the parrots, and they're very gaudy, very long tails, very spectacular.
There's a family of 4, 2 babies, 2 adults.
The one thing I discovered when I started looking into the scientific literature for macaws is that there had been no field studies of macaws, and yet they were so popular and so well known. And it was rather incredible. And when I started to ask questions about the pet trade and whether the amount of macaws that were being taken out of the forest, whether those amounts were sustainable and justifiable, there was no information to answer the question. So I said, we better find out what macaws are doing in the wild before they're all gone. So that's when we started the research. The population of macaws in Manu is very high. You can see hundreds in one moment, either at some of the roost sites and especially at the macaw licks, at these clay licks on the riverbanks.
They're slowly starting to come down.
Munn and his biologist wife, Mariana, spend several months at the clay lick each year.
The first one finally hit the clay. It's knocked down there.
There are 16 species of macaws in the world, 8 of which are in danger of extinction. 7 species of macaws live in Manu, and all of them visit exposed areas of the riverbanks called clay licks.
We think that the reason that the parrots come to the clay lick is to help them digest these toxic seeds they're eating.
The macaws specialize in eating bitter, unripe fruits and highly toxic seeds. Munn believes that the mineral-rich clay acts as a sort of jungle antacid, neutralizing the toxins.
side in the middle of the roll. Looks like a young bird has a dark eye. Roll 2. Each red and green macaw has a different pattern of feather lines. It's as unique as the fingerprint on a human. By photographing the feather patterns, we can build up a dossier of all the birds in the population. And we also can learn who's married to whom. In theory, we should be able to learn if there's divorce, what the mortality is, how many of them die, let's say, in a given season at the clay lick, because widows and widowers should come in without their mates, and their mates won't appear anywhere else in the population either. Practically all of them have Matisia pollen on their faces. Studying macaws at these clay licks is like looking through a window into the demography or whole population structure of these macaws without having to go out and find all the nests and without having to catch and mark all the birds. So it's a shortcut, an elaborate but a very complete shortcut into the biology of these birds. The white gash and the black is too high.
One of Wildlife Conservation Society's objectives is to train a local cadre of future biologists who might otherwise not have the opportunity to do research in the field.
I'll put them over here. I'll give you the ones that have lots of Matisia. We've been very lucky with the quality of students we've gotten from the Peruvian university system. We've had an excellent crop of young scientists, and they're carrying the ball so well now here that I don't really have to spend as much time in this part of the rainforest. I'm now working in adjacent countries and trying to get the same thing going there as well. Initially, we watched macaw nests strictly from the ground, from a distance. But after a few years, it also became apparent that we should start to go into the nests and find out what was going on inside.
Periodically, the young researchers visit the nests, taking measurements and compiling the first record of macaw reproduction in the wild. At 2 weeks, the first flight feathers begin to emerge, looking more like the bristles of a brush than the elegant plumage of its parents. The nesting cavity is 100 feet off the ground and is large enough for a human to sleep in. Unlike red and green and scarlet macaws, blue and yellow macaws prefer holes in dead palms. A typical palm swamp makes an ideal laboratory for studying macaw reproduction.
Probably the most important results of our studies are the results on reproductive rates in macaws, because there was a lot of controversy about whether you could harvest them for the pet trade.